obviously COVID-19 was announced. I had stumbled across an email from Department of Defence stating that they were looking at trialling the chloroquine on defence personnel. I've got very strong issues in regards to that being happening. Defence have a tendency to use large dosages on the veterans, and then they don't follow up with long-term side effects. This has happened to us in the past. Still to this date, 20 years on, Defence has not been in contact with me in regards to any of the side effects or any of the other fellow veterans. So they're going to repeat history, and I'm disgusted at the fact that after the Senate inquiry and all the recent stuff that I've sat down with the PM recently and had got his word that he was going to do a judicial inquiry into the ADF and the AMI in regards to their actions on what their drug trials they had done in the past.
Can you tell me what your experience was when you were tested on?
When we first took the drugs, I personally didn't have any adverse effects straight away. Later on into the drug trial, I started suffering bad reflux issues. I started horrific nightmares. Paranoia started kicking in. It wasn't until I actually got home that the very serious side effects really kicked in. Anxiety, depression. I also had aggressive behaviour and violent behaviour. I had numerous times gotten into altercations just out of aggression, and I still carry that today, which I am now getting help to try to deal with that. Prisoners, they stopped testing on them back in the early 50s. Why the hell are we testing young soldiers for? So
it seems like the ADF is saying this is a voluntary thing. Did you feel like you had the choice when you were in the ADF?
We were told that it was voluntary, but we were also told that if we didn't sign the paperwork, we wouldn't go. Being in the ADF, you follow orders, you train, you go and do your job. We didn't question the higher ranks. We took their word that everything was going to be fine, and then it was proved afterwards that it wasn't. And then ADF washed their hands of us after that.
And what makes you feel like, it was this drug that has caused all these side effects? Because, I guess some people would argue it might have been side effects of just being in defence force.
Okay. East Timor had the highest rate of PTSD since Vietnam the Vietnam War. Now, you have non-combat corps, and then you have a combat corps. Obviously combat corps guys, they're outside the wire, they're patrolling, and they get to see some pretty horrific stuff from time to time. East Timor went in, I'm speaking from my past experience, we had a few small contacts, but East Timor was more the fact we were peacekeeping on a warlike operations. The stuff there wasn't enough to say that everyone ended up with PTSD, everyone saw or experienced these horrible things. You have a pay clerk or you have an admin staff that are working behind desks, and they'll go out and they'll do their patrols around the AOs or around the base, the compounds. But a lot of people never saw anything. But as soon as they came back, they started experiencing these sign-like symptoms of PTSD. The first thing any doctor or psychologist will analyse and say, oh, well, you've got PTSD. But no one's actually looking into quinine poisoning. And it's since the last 5 years that I've really started researching. In America, you've got doctors over there and scientists that are starting to really look into the quinine poisoning side of things. We have a lady here, Jane Casper Quinn, unbelievably experienced with this kind of drugs and the side effects of that.
So how frustrated do you feel that, this could happen again?
I'm savage. I'm savage with Defence. I'm savage with the government, especially after our recent conversation with the Prime Minister and his word in regards to giving me his word that he was going to have an investigation into this. And then not long after that, we find an email from Defence stating that they were going to trial these drugs on young soldiers.
And tell me, what are the similarities between the drug that was tested on you and this drug that you found emails of?
Okay, so they've come up with the Chloroquine, which has been around for a very long time. Look at the doses that is being used and prescribed under medical conditions today. It has long-term effects have been monitored, whereas this here, the ADF, want to grab this drug, and it is the same family of mefloquine and tofenaquine. So the side effects are exactly the same. It's neurotoxic, and unfortunately with those high doses on a trial, they aren't going to be safe. There's no guarantee of any safety, and needs to be a guarantee that there's going to be long-term studies after that, and that's the problem. They won't. So I'm worried that these young men and women that are in the ADF are going to suffer and end up be put in the same category as their past veterans.
Just the